like to welcome you all to the panel discussion. Today we're having a very interesting topic to talk about, which is leveraging natural materials into modern architecture. And I would like to introduce our panelists, starting with Mr. Suraj Mittal from Future Concepts, Ms. Ritu Singh from Ritu Singh Interior Studio, and Mr. Ajay Nirmal from Ajay Nirmal Architects. So the first question for today is for Mr. Ajay. How do you see the use of natural materials evolving in the contemporary landscape of architecture and interior design, and what benefits do these bring to a space?
Yeah, so Abhiroop, I think that nowadays people are moving more towards the sustainability, and there is a rising awareness among not just architects but also with the clients, because I think people have started to realize that it is not just going to benefit the environment, but also it will be benefiting themselves too. In terms of even just sourcing a natural material is much easier if it is probably locally available, and you can probably save some costs if that is the way. And I think when we talk about again, if we just generally see humans in terms of evolution, we've always been around and in nature, and we never can get over it, although. And we when we talk about visiting a built structure, then probably you are visiting it once, twice, thrice, and you are probably done with it after it. But when we want to plan a vacation, or when we think about visiting a hill station or being in the woods or going to the beach, then I think it's still, every time it feels new, and every time you want to do that again and again.
Right.
So in terms of that, I think using natural materials in your built environment also then gives you a certain level of mental peace when you try to do that. Yeah,
Definitely. I 100% agree with you, and I think that as you rightly said, whenever people go for some peace of mind, they would like to be near nature. So I think bringing nature to their homes is also something to help, and sustainability anyways is on the rise and need of the hour for us.
Exactly.
So it's a good motive.
Right.
Very well. My second question is for Suraj. So Suraj, what considerations should be taken into account when selecting and sourcing material to ensure they meet both the aesthetic and sustainability criteria?
I believe, I second with Ajay on that the sustainability is a big time factor which we consider nowadays while choosing any natural material, and specifically few of them are easily recyclable. You can say rest of them might take a little more time according to it.
Right.
But in terms of aesthetic, if I see, then it is totally subjected towards the kind of design we are going to create out of it.
Right.
So this is how they are all aligned with each other.
Right. Makes sense. So, my next question is for Ritu.
Yeah.
So, Ritu, in your experience, how have clients responded to designs incorporating plywood and veneers in terms of their preferences, expectations, and concerns?
Basically, natural materials are expensive, so client's main concern is it should be maintenance free, it should be termite free, fire retardant, and the second part is it should look good and they give richness to the house, and it should give not bubble which look ugly in the center, and it gives a maximum beautiful look to the area. That's the main concern for the client.
I think what you said is rightly addressed, and considering that natural materials have their own defects which are known as beauty, so it is very important for manufacturers like us to understand what is worth objectifying and actually portraying in the final product. So that is why we at RealPly take the highest quality standards always, and make sure that our products are free of harmful chemicals being used in making them, and also the best possible outcome we can give to the customer. So moving further, my next question for Suraj. So have you ever collaborated with artists or craftsmen to create custom-made natural material elements for a project? And how did this collaboration enhance the final design?
Yeah, sure, we do that. Future Concept is an artistic interior designing firm only.
Wow.
So we are collaborating with more than 300 artisans out there, and they are like upcoming artists. So one way we are promoting them. Another way is to create these kind of natural materials and use them at the interior project, keeping in mind the sustainability of it, first of all. Second, the idea behind is to promote them. That is the whole game. same.
Right,
how we do it.
Right.
And the second thing you asked me about.
It was about how does this collaboration enhance the final outcome?
Enhances the outcome in a way key reason being it's a handmade thing,
Right.
so it can be replicated, so for each client it is exclusive in its own way.
Feel important also. That
Exactly.
It's specifically for me. So
Exactly.
naturally, I mean, a one-of-one piece would definitely make me feel more special. So I think that
For sure.
works well. So the next question for Ritu, can you share some of your favorite techniques or applications for effectively utilizing veneers and plywood in a design project?
Yeah, my favorite technique is to apply veneer on the ceiling and a curved ceiling basically,
Right.
and the POP tucker on the POP tucker, and the basically paper veneer on the curved consoles, and we can
Right,
bend
right.
that easily,
Right.
and on the partitions, and basically fluted panels are so in these days. So technically we are so far.
Right.
We are going. So personally, my technique is my favorite is for ceiling.
Definitely, it makes sense. I mean, veneers look good in all curves and all sizes, I would say.
Really good.
And that is why we are also trying to develop newer products which help architects and designers such as yourself to play around with it more effectively. And we have also recently just launched a range of ready-to-install panels which range from wooden louvers, from our fluted hybrid veneer panels and our fluted veneer panels. So all of these products are beautifully designed and ready for you guys to just apply in your products. So my next question for Ajay.
Yeah.
What are some practical tips you find most useful when incorporating veneers and plywood into your designs?
So I think Abhiroop, one of the most practical tips that I have seen in terms of using whenever I'm using wood is basically not to fight with it. So I think when you're using wood, you need to understand that a material itself also goes through a certain process in its own evolution.
Right.
And wood as a material will have this character in any kind of a byproduct. It will have this character to expand and contract. So you cannot really try to fight with expansion or contraction of wood. So you need to go along with the material, understand the properties, and then use it in a certain way. It is as essential for wood to expand and contract as it is for human to breathe. So we need to understand that and then apply. You not go in opposite of the characteristics of the material. Just try to go along with it and use it in a very sustainable way, in a very proper manner.
I think again, just adding to yours and Suraj's point here, that using veneer just gives the exclusive access to a customer that no other material can, because any sheet of veneer, be it any species, oak, ash, supapira, anything, one sheet of veneer is just one of one. Like there cannot be another sheet of veneer replicating that.
I basically think that now when we talk about a plywood, it's a very technical material. The client really doesn't have any lot of say to what that particular material has to be inside. But for a veneer, I think yes, the architects and the interior designers are also it depends on what kind of style they are probably moving forward with, or what is the personal choice of that particular client. So and like you rightly said, you can probably replicate any particular shade of a particular tree, say, or a color, or you can probably also replicate the behavior of a particular material, but then you cannot really replicate the imperfections of that material.
Right.
So I think that is the great thing about using a natural material. You basically there are a lot of different kinds of shades in that same particular lot also that you get. There are different kinds of characteristics, which when you look at it individually, it might seem that isme to variation hai, there is a lot of different things. But then when you put together, it becomes a harmonious whole. So I think those imperfections is what you cannot really replicate, and that is the great thing about nature.
Yeah, and it adds a lot of character to the product, right? Like who can proudly say that their product has some natural character which us humans did not imbibe in them.
Exactly.
So I think it's a very fun product to play with.
Yeah.
Great. So Ritu, for you, how can architects and designers leverage advancements in technology and material science to enhance the performance and versatility of natural materials in contemporary design?
Yeah. if I talk about advancement in technology, CNC work is so in these days, and CNC work directly on the plywood, which gives look almost 3D pattern, give embossed look. We can apply it directly on the doors, we can apply it directly on the walls. So my favorite part is directly on the wood, plywood basically. So we can create n number of design with the veneers. We can play with the seamless design veneers on the hidden door we can create. So I prefer CNC work on the plywood and veneers. So
I think it gives a very industrial and very raw look also to a project.
Perfect.
So it gives a very different finish. Very well. My question for Ajay. So, considering the cultural and regional diversity of design contexts, how do you approach adapting the use of natural materials to suit varying climates, landscapes, and local traditions?
See, I think natural materials have been used through and through humans since the evolution have started, since industrialization have started. People have tried to use natural materials everywhere. So I don't think you need to. There is of course a lot of technological advancements coming up, but then once you start looking at how these people have been using it through these years, I think that is where you'll learn it all.
Right.
So you just need to focus on what they have done. Now, when we talk about, say, if in case of these local conditions, like if you talk about in India particularly, let's say, if you're using wood in facade or any exterior place, then what happens is people are really scared of using it because it starts to warp, it starts to crack.
Right.
People think there is a lot of high maintenance material. So, but if you talk about our neighbors, even in Southeast Asia, even countries with high humidity and heavy rainfall use a lot of wood, and that is only because they have mastered the technique of using the wood.
Correct. Exactly.
They know how to go about it. They know which wood is indigenous to that particular space. So understanding what is indigenous and what can be used in that particular space are really important. And also, of course, the techniques that they have been using. And we cannot try to just use any particular wood anywhere in the facade or anything. So we need to be very clear on what we are trying to use. So learning techniques and adapting to what has been happening is the key.
Well said. I think that it is very important to understand what the local culture is also like.
Exactly.
For applying anything. So for example, Japan has a fantastic culture of still building wooden houses completely. Like very seldom that you see wooden houses in a metropolitan city. But in Japan, you would most definitely do so.
Right.
And in the vineyard world, so there comes a special category also of wood which is used in Japan. It's called Japanese grade.
Okay.
Which is used for their exterior wood also at times. A lot of the times their interior products.
Right.
So yeah. A lot of Southeast Asian countries are really taking up the wood game really fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, my next question for Suraj. So, how can architects and interior designers collaborate effectively with material suppliers and manufacturers to ensure the availability and quality of plywood for their projects?
I believe this is one thing which we guys really need to collaborate on few lines. Reason being, see, there are n number of companies and players out there who is providing n number of products, n number of ranges.
Correct.
But the challenge behind is that what exact kind of material we are looking forward to. Let's say that I need an exact kind of a customized veneer. So who's my go-to guy?
Right.
So for me, collaborating with an architect who is doing a similar kind of a project and using a similar kind of a material can definitely help me out in it. And on top of it, the kind of service we are getting post using that material, that is on top of anything, I believe. So मेरे को नहीं लगता कि हमें कभी भी या हमारे क्लाइंट को कभी ये फर्क पड़ता है कि अंदर कौन सा प्लाईबोर्ड लगा हुआ है. बट इफ माय किचन मैन्युफैक्चरर इज अ गुड गाय एंड प्रोवाइडिंग सर्विसेज लेट्स से फॉर अ डिकेड, देन डेफिनेटली आई वुड सजेस्ट कि आप इससे बनवा लो. इट डजंट मैटर कि अंदर कौन सा प्लाई है या कौन सा रॉ मटेरियल है.
Because उन्हें पता होता है कि how to use those materials effectively in their design. But I also feel that it is very important to understand the company that you're buying the material from, because see, today there are more than 2,000 plywood factories in India. and there is all kinds of material being made. So depending upon the need for your project, what specifications or what quality that your customer or the project needs, it's very important to decide upon a company like that. And
For sure, but I believe in industry like interiors, because a huge money is involved, people buy people first.
Definitely.
So
that is any sales role. I mean, anywhere you go, people buy people first always. So definitely, I 100% agree with you. Okay, so my last question for Ajay now. Ajay, how do you envision the role of natural materials evolving in future design trends, and how might this impact the way we experience built environments?
See, Abhiroop, with technology developing every year, every day for that matter, I think there is a lot to look forward to on what we are going to get. And I think like with technology now we are able to, instead of just getting plain veneers, now we are able to see like what you displayed here. We are able to see dyed veneer, we are able to see fluted veneers, hybrid veneers, and ripped veneers, a lot of different things. So with the same base material, now we are able to achieve a lot of different aesthetics.
Right.
So which also motivates us as architects to play around with and gives us more ideas to what we can do. And in terms of also scientific research, when we talk about, I recently read in an article that in Malaysia basically they are trying to do intense research on how to use nanotechnology with wood. And with that particular fusion, what they're trying to do is they're going to increase the strength of the material and also increase the resistance towards its UV rating and fire resistance and also water absorption. So if something like this happens in the industry and it completely changes the whole pretext as to how we look towards wood, then we have a lot of different opportunities, then we can explore a lot. So technology is definitely going to give us a lot of flexibility and creativity on how we are going to move forward. And just reading and looking at all of these things, I think it gives us a lot of hope to look forward to what we can do as.
No, most definitely. So even with my line of work, so I travel a lot, and whenever I'm visiting any of my suppliers abroad, wherein we source the veneers from, or I go to any other veneer factory or furniture factory for that matter, I always learn something new. Be it about some input material and how to go on about it, or how to actually, give a different input and get the output that you desire in terms of moving veneers, in terms of giving it different shapes and different textures also for that matter. So yeah, and I 100% align with you that in the times to come, nature is going to play a huge role in our architectural designs, and I think our company is very excited about handling those.
All the best.
So thank you so much everyone for being here, and I think we had a wonderful session.